Hi traders, welcome to Admiral Markets. My name is Chris, and today, of course, again, taking a look at the charts, technical analysis, and we'll be taking a look at the Forex market, euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar yen, and other currency pairs and instruments. First of all, though, these two disclaimers. The first one is explaining the fact that the webinar is shown to a global audience but may not be suitable for everyone. Therefore, please check admiralmarketsglobal.com, select your country of residence, and contact the appropriate entity to find out if it is suitable for you. Also, please note that trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk. Please therefore seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This webinar is for informational and educational purposes only. By continuing watching this webinar and video, you agree with this disclaimer and you are aware of the risk involved when trading. Alrighty. Thanks for your attention on those two disclaimers. So the webinar is organized by Admiral Markets, and you can check out some interesting new developments at the front page right here, Admiral Market MT5. Cryptocurrencies you probably already heard about, but the DAX and the expert webinars actually was here, of course, as the fourth item, but that has already taken place last week. Hopefully you joined Nenet and the other expert traders for that series. And you learned from that. With regard to the trading, you can check out, of course, here these tabs about Admiral Markets, how to start, what kind of instruments you can trade, what kind of platforms. And then we also have, Nennet and myself, some analytics, but there's also other things like some instruments like sentiment, heat map, sorry, not heart map, heat map, the blog, education, so a lot to check out. But before doing that, though, let's take a look at the platform. Right, there we go. This is the MT4 Supreme Edition. And let's get started. Taking a look at the charts couldn't be better, of course. We are looking at the euro dollar. Specifically, Dushan has his cup of coffee, and he's all ready. That's great. So, basically, euro dollar, I was looking for downside continuation because, in my view, I had a fib from here to here. I think this bottom. Yes. And it looks like price was trying to push through this 23.6 fib. But maybe my wave analysis was a bit early with that. So I'm not sure how this will turn out. But at the moment, it doesn't look like a good breakout continuation as is. So I think that it's still early. It's still too soon to tell. But it's at a basically pretty much at a crossroad right now, in fact. Because if we look at the 1 hour chart, right, so just keep in mind the importance of this zone at the 23.6 fib. Because basically, if price breaks through this fib, there's a potential fall down to the 38.2 fib at 115, right? So it's about this zone right here, right there. And then price will fall from the S1 down to the S2, maybe make a little bit of correction there, but then ultimately probably get down to the S3, which I considered a bouncing spot because of the moving average, because of the S3, because of the 38.2 fib, and then price could resume its uptrend that it had here, of course, and move up to retest this top and maybe even higher. But before we get that move down to the 38.2 fib, the 23.6 fib net needs to get broken, and it hasn't yet. There is some intra wick here on this current daily candle, right? Yesterday was a bearish day, and we saw a continuation of that. But it depends how today's candle ends. It depends also how these 4-hour candles handle themselves. And as you can see, there's engulfing twins here as price is breaking through this support. So at this moment, it's not looking like a good bearish breakout for further downside. In fact, it looks like the S1 and the 23.6 fib are still holding. So at this moment, I think I'm still on the sidelines, and I probably will wait for today's daily candle. I know that will take a few hours at least, but if today's candle looks like this, that's not a selling signal, right? That is a bullish candlestick reaction to the S1 23.6 fib, and it could be that happens sometimes that you have like two times a test of a zone and 2 times a bounce. So if we get a candle like this, I think that it looks more bullish setup for the upside to retest this resistance. If today, however, were to end up like this with the bearish close all the way down here at the S1, not too far away from the low. The current low is 116.95. The current high is 74. So that's about a 79 pip candle from high to low. So I think probably the candle close should be around 117, 117.15, not higher. If it's around there or lower, then that's a bearish candle, and I would expect follow through, and that would be an okay bearish indication. If the wick is bigger though on the daily candle, and there's some kind of like doji, for instance, or a small bearish candle but still a big wick at the bottom, then that is not a good breakout. That's indecision. If there's a doji, it's indecision. It could go both ways. I would probably still wait. But if it's either a bearish candle or a bullish candle like this, then I think it could, that's a pretty good indication of whether it's going to be a bullish bounce with the bullish candle, obviously, or a bearish breakout with a bearish candle, obviously. So I think that this daily candle will give us, this is what I'm going to do, at least. This is what the info I'm going to use for tomorrow's kind of trade direction. So let's see. It's an interesting spot, and we'll find out. I mean, from a wave perspective, this morning I was looking at it as bearish and was looking for a continuation to the downside. But that's before these strong bullish candles appeared. What I would probably was looking for more is something like this, right? A bearish flag and a break of that. That would have been okay for a continuation lower. All right. Let's see. Otherwise, at this moment, an earlier setup could be on this 4-hour chart. For instance, if there's a strong, for instance, this strong bearish candlestick reaction at these fibs, right? And there's a pin bar and a close all the way down here at 117.40, 117.45, 117.50, like this with the big wick at the top. Then that could be already some kind of exhaustion, and this could be a retracement for more downside. That would be an early one compared to the daily candle. So it's riskier, but the entry could be a bit better. If it's anything like this, I don't think it's a good selling signal. There is a bit of wick, but that's not an exhaustion signal. So I would not consider that a good short myself. It does indicate that the bulls are not in control, but that's not so surprising considering the fact that we're in such a strong downtrend, at least when you look at the hourly chart and 4-hour chart, right? So no, for me to go short, I would need a clear 4-hour candle at least, not something like this. On the hourly chart, you might say, hey, look at this wick. Isn't that something? And that's not a bad signal, but in considering the context of this bullish momentum, I think that is, I would not go for that one personally. I guess some traders might use that as a signal. I would probably still not use that 1-hour chart as yet. All right, so I think that's about it from my perspective. Let's see, I got some questions. ZT is asking if it stays at 50% means no trade. I guess I answered that a little bit with regard to, I'm basically looking at the 4-hour candles and daily candles for price action to kind of determine who is the winner. So that's my game plan at this moment. I mean, the 50 fib would be fine in other cases, but because the 23.6 fib did not break, I don't want to trade this. You see, if it would have gone deeper, let's say it would have gone all the way to 116.70, 116.60, and that would have made a hook back like that, I would have been more confident to look for a turn back at the 50 fib. But at this moment, this support level is still intact from my point of view. So a bit more cautious with this bounce, because this bounce could be a larger bounce and not just a retracement. And if nothing, if that doesn't make, if anything is unclear, of course, feel free to reach out through the chat and I'll get back to you. Alice asking, is the pivot point indicator a proprietary tool? Well, the pivot point indicator is actually part of MetaTrader 4 Supreme Edition and probably MetaTrader 4, MetaTrader 5 Supreme Edition. You just have to go to admiralmarkets.com, go to platforms and click on MetaTrader Supreme Edition. And you can download it for free. You can try it out on a demo for 1 month. And if you want to keep using it, then you need a live account after that month. Or that's how it used to be. Maybe it changed, but that's how it was. But you can test it out with a demo for a month. And that's not the only indicator, by the way. That's part of that package. There are about 60 features, in fact, 60 plus. Another one of those, in fact, is this Keltner indicator and other indicators, by the way. So something definitely to check out. And Robert, dollar yen, I'll be looking at still. We're only looking into your dollar, in fact. And let's see. Otherwise, hi Ahmed, and hi Angel. Good to see you. Hope that you're doing fine and well. And let's take a look at that dollar yen, in fact. All right, so we had a break, small break here, multiple flags, continuations, but it looks like it's running out of steam, perhaps finally. Right? We talked about the potential for price to make a wave 2 or B to correct kind of some of this upside first. And it's kind of rounding a little bit. You see that? It's kind of losing its steam a bit. But still, it could have continued, of course, to the bigger resistance zone up at 114.50, 115. But it seems to be losing that momentum as we speak. So what kind of trend lines are we looking for? Let's get rid of these flags. Those are all breaks to the upside. All right, so let's put a support trend line like this. There we go. And price seems to be breaking through that. That could be the first kind of start of a bigger correction to the downside. And if this candle closes like it is now, it would be double top in this case. And if it closes something like it is now, then it will probably be breaking this support trend line. And that could be a reversal signal. Reversal signals, of course, are always a little bit riskier. So here too, maybe looking at today's candle could be a good idea. See if there's some wick like this, for instance, at the top, or maybe even a bearish close at the end of the day. Then that could definitely be kind of a failure signal for the upside. And tomorrow I might see a small retracement or no retracement. I don't know. Might go flat or some small upside. But with a bearish candle with a wick like that, there should be downside pressure to break this support trend line. So let's see where it closes. It would be great if it had a bearish close. That means a bearish close would have to be on this daily candle, would have to be below 112.70 to have a bearish close, near the low. So let's see if that happens. If it's still a bullish candle, if it's anywhere above 112.70, I don't think it's that great of a signal. There is a wick maybe at the top, but I don't think that is a good reversal signal. So it would have to really be a bearish close. At least there's some kind of bearish box here, and then you have the bearish close and the wick. That could be a good reversal signal. If not, even if it's a doji is so. If it's a small bullish candle, I would not be interested in that personally. Also, of course, we can keep an eye on the hourly chart, and if it is showing a little bit more steam, I don't know exactly, maybe getting down to 112.50, for instance, right? 112.50, then making a bear flag like this. Then the break of that bear flag, for those that like trading patterns, could be a good move down as well. So those are two approaches that I think could be good for reversal trading. All right. Anything else? I don't think at this moment I have much to add on the dollar yet. I mean, if it starts to move down, then I'll put a fib from here to here, be looking for price to go to the 38 basically. I think first 23, then 38, and eventually end up to the 61.8 fib. I would say that's the main target of the downside. If it for whatever reason doesn't, it falls, but there's a close in reverse and it moves up equally fast, which is possible, then I would not, of course, be looking for downside anymore. And in fact, in that case, we could put a trend line like this. We're looking for a bull flag somewhere in here and a break of that bull flag, and price can go up to that 114.50 zone, 115 zone I talked about already for that upside target, right? So you can actually extend it a little bit like this. So it also depends on how it reacts to this weekly pivot point, all right? Because this is still pretty much still a choppy kind of sideways zone, and it could still find strong support at 112.50 at these bottoms and at the weekly pivot point, right? So only would be looking for shorts if it looks like a bear flag break, or if the daily candle looks strong. If it shows a down, then a strong up, then my vision is still up. All right, so that's a bit about the dollar yen. Now there's no trade in my view, and just to summarize, the reason is because price is trying to break through a support line, is showing bearish momentum, but is still in an uptrend. So at this moment, don't like to trade it either way. All right, so moving on to the pound dollar. The pound dollar, in my view, let me see if that's correct. Could be at or close to the 50 fib. 50 fib I have at 132.50. Price is right there right now. So what we basically have is a simple momentum to the upside, of course, within the uptrend, and we've had a serious retracement, right, with some good bearish candles there, and this could be a bouncing spot, right? We got tops in here, 132.50 psychological level, 50 fib, so it could be a bouncing spot. If it doesn't bounce, then it has potential to fall further, right? Maybe to the 61.8, maybe even further down to the 78.6 fib. Step by step. The first one is the 61.8. At this moment, it's kind of iffy. It's trying to break below it, but it's not really doing that convincingly, in my view. And I think if you look at the daily chart, probably would be the best. I think I would keep an eye on the daily chart and look at this daily candle. If it's a bullish candle at the end of the day, it could be a good bouncing signal, I think. It could be a decent reversal candlestick pattern on the daily. If it's something like this, what we have right now, then that's indecision. I wouldn't really want to trade it either way. And if it closes below 132.50, preferably not too far from today's low, 132.20, let's see, maybe 132.30 would be a good close, 132.35, but not much higher than that. Then that could be a breakout, in fact, and I would be looking for kind of a retracement a little bit tomorrow for a move down to 131.50. So yes, again, looking for today's daily candle for a reaction. On the 4-hour chart, by the way, we had this great breakout here between the 38 and 50 fib. So anyone taking this breakout candle right here got this nice fall down to the 50 fib. That was a good downside trade. This one with pretty choppy dollar against the pound, at least overall pretty choppy dollar. I mean, it looked like dollar strength, but we didn't really get it. And it's really struggling to continue with that strength that it seemed to have, but it really didn't have. So it's kind of a kind of a fake out move in a way from the dollar, but it is for the pound per dollar perspective not surprising because it is at the 50 fib. It is a strong kind of zone. It's just struggling to go anywhere really. I mean, looking at this hourly chart, it's up down, up down, up down. So I think the daily candle makes sense. I mean, if we get a good 4-hour candle that closes above the high here of this candle, which is 132.67, right? So we get a good 4-hour candle that's something like this. That might be an early signal that we're bouncing, and could wait for a small retracement of that candle, and I would say there's a good chance of upside. On the hourly chart, I don't think really there's much information to be found here as yet. This is the 15-minute chart. Just checking out some different time perspectives here. Could be a counter trend breakout, but that already actually happened on this one. Let's see, maybe like this. No, that's actually, sorry, forget that. But this is a risky trade. This is a counter trend break. It's an very early signal. If it does break above that, but that could kind of indicate the first breakout if price fails to continue lower with the downtrend on the hourly chart, and rather instead breaks to the upside, probably because of this 50 fib and the general support zone. So let's see, but that's a very early counter trend breakout on lower time frames. Excuse me. All right. So those are the three majors. Let's move on. But before I do that, I do see some questions. Let's see. ZT got stopped out because he thought it would break 113.20. So that's the dollar yen. Let's see. I'm not sure, ZT, what you meant. Oh, when you wait for a bear flag to form, is it the hour chart or 50-minute chart? Well, you can look at bear flags and bull flags on all time frames, in fact. Those patterns happen everywhere. That's part of the kind of DNA in a way, or structure of the market. But of course, those flags happen quicker on lower time frames. Also, maybe though the disadvantage of that is that you have to respond quicker to those patterns, be maybe a bit quicker on your feet with regard to the target and changing, the changing sentiment there. So maybe a bit more difficult. Basically, what I'm trying to say is could require more experience to trade flag patterns on lower time frames. But those patterns will occur on all time frames. If you're asking me personally, like what I do, sorry, maybe I interpreted your question wrong. Well, it depends. I basically look on both. Now, regard to 113.20, let's see. I'm not sure what you mean with that. I got stopped out because I thought it would break. You mean a bullish break, right? Ah, you took this flag, right? That's what yeah, now I got it. Sorry. Yeah. Good question. Well, it's a tricky spot, I think, because of the fact that it's right at this resistance trend line. So yes, it is a flag, but it's also at a strong resistance spot. So it's really one where we would probably want to keep an eye on both breakout directions. You can even put a trend like that. And maybe the 5-minute chart could have had an okay entry somewhere around here. If you wait for this candle all the way here. So there's not much space there left if you enter, all the way here. But the breakout to the upside, I think, didn't occur really. Right? It didn't really break to the upside as yet. So what you probably would rather wait for is, if you took it earlier, like here, you would probably want to move it to break even or reduce the risk, right? If you entered here. If you entered here, you probably didn't want to enter there because it was right in front of resistance. So you would probably rather wait for the breakout to occur before doing that. See what I mean? Oh, I just deleted my dollar yen. Accident. All right, there we go. So I'm not sure where you entered. If you entered somewhere on these hourly candles about halfway, I don't think that there was anything wrong with that. That was, I think, a good entry. And these things are a bit unlucky sometimes when flags break to the other side. What you could have maybe for next time always keep in mind that although a flag might seem interesting, maybe keep an eye on bigger trend lines or stuff like that that could stop it, like this double top, this resistance. So maybe next time you want to wait for the break of that rather than trading it in the flag, right? Something to keep in mind for next time. Otherwise, it's besides that, those are one of those things that happen with trading. You can't avoid losses. So those things do happen occasionally. I don't want to be too harsh on it. It is a bull flag. We had good momentum. Yeah, the only main thing I think really that could have stopped it was this resistance trend line, the double top. That was probably the main factor, I guess. And then you can still keep an eye on both sides, right, in that regard, to see which side we get the breakout. But although the downside is a counter trend setup. So Angel, I unfortunately didn't have time to look at the emails. What were you? I don't have my email open. Wait, I can open another one. We can take a look at that at the end. I'll quickly read it. And yeah, I see it now. And but we'll do it a bit later. So we'll take maybe a half a minute to read or so. Let's take a look at the Aussie now. Alrighty. Not a big. I mean, I was bearish on this Aussie for a while because of the fact that price was breaking through support and was in the downtrend, of course, and like this. All right, but the downside really didn't go too far, and was making this channel that has been broken in the meantime. So downside is definitely off the table. This bearish trend here, you can see we're getting a counter trend break. And from this point of view, we're looking a bit like a falling wedge. Kind of end of pattern, end of formation in a way. Falling wedge, of course, is a reversal signal and not a continuation signal. So this downside was a bit of in trouble. It's a quadruple divergence as well. Plus, if you look at the 4-hour charts, we probably see some support on the left. So it looks like it's kind of finishing this move. So this is a counter trend setup again. So if there's, or setup analysis of this, or move at this moment, the Aussie is moving up, which is counter trend. If there's a good 4-hour candle like that, this could be a Mari Bozu candle, as Nana calls it, and that means that the bulls are in control. The difference between the high and the low at this moment, however, is only 30 pips. It's a bit small on the 4-hour chart. So what I would probably want to see, if this, for a Mighty Bozu candle 4-hour chart, it has to be a bit bigger. So I would like to see it, the high from this 4-hour candle, let me tell you, to be at around 78.50, right? To get up all the way here at least. If it's all the way up here, it's breaking through resistance. And if the close is not too far, I'm talking about a close that shouldn't be more than 78.40. Then I think that could be a good reversal signal. All right. And in that case, it makes sense to put a fib on this candle and wait for retracement to the 50, 61, 78.6 fib, and take along with the stop loss below, somewhere below here or here, targeting probably the R1 for now. I mean, if you use the stop loss below this low with entry at the 61.8 fib, let's put it on. Then entry here, stop loss here. Then even the weekly pivot point could be a target. You see, you still have a good reward to risk ratio. This is your risk. This is your reward. But for me, very important that this is a dominant candle, and it isn't so far, but it could turn into one. And you know my level I'm thinking about, 78.50. That's the high, has to be there, or it could be higher than that, of course. But 78.50 is the minimum high, if you see what I mean. So let's see if we get that. But that could be a reversal setup there on the Aussie, shaping out. And on the daily candle, could be interesting to keep an eye on the daily candle too, by the way. Besides the 4-hour candle, if it is something like, again, a pin bar like this, then we have 2 pin bars in a row, wicks here. Well, then tomorrow maybe some retracement, but I think that could be a reversal trade as well if there's some bullish candle close today. So a lot of potential reversal trades today. That's sometimes how the market rolls. Of course, you got to do got to roll with the charts you have in front of you in a way. But let's see, daily chart here. Kiwi doesn't look as bullish, doesn't seem to be bouncing, but it is at support as well. But ultimately still some indecision at this moment. Well, ultimately it looks a bit wishy-washy here. I mean, doesn't really have any clear preference at this moment, in the sense that yes, it is bearish, but no, it doesn't really look to be moving impulsively at this point. Let me put a whiz tool on it. All right, there we go. And there seems to be some support in here as well that's acting up. So probably need a break of that. Break and some kind of bear flag and a continuation would be good for the Kiwi. I would rather wait for confirmation of a break than trading it too soon. It has kind of this bearish kind of momentum, or not momentum, but this bearish vibe, this bearish push, but it's just not really going anywhere. And I probably would like to see price break the S1, probably. S1, let it break the S1, make some kind of flag, and look for continuation. Alrighty. Dollar CAD has a little bit of a rising wedge. For those adventurous reversal traders, maybe you were keeping an eye on this. And depending on how risk taker you are, there could have been some potential trades to take that. These engulfing twins, perhaps, the hook back, maybe even, but or the retracement here. But those are risky trades, not easy to take, and definitely reversal trades because this is upside at this moment. It's definitely strong uptrend, It's definitely an uptrend at this moment. And nothing with the trend at this moment, really. I think that for the dollar CAD, probably any trend that could be up probably would have to wait for retracement back down to this weekly pivot point, which could be a bouncing spot together with these bottoms here at this moment. All right, even though that price might be breaking this support, don't forget we still have higher highs and higher lows. Even if price bounces the weekly pivot point, it's still a higher low, so it still could be part of the uptrend. So weekly pivot point could be a bouncing spot. When you look at today's candle, it's a bit small still. But yeah, there could be maybe some reversal trades to the downside, maybe some retracement of this candle. Same like the Aussie. If this is a Mariposa candle, if it's, let's take a look. High to low difference, only 37. So would need to push to 127, 124.70, 124.75 downward here. If it gets down there, this 4-hour candle, with a good close, then next 4-hour candle, retracement to the 61.8, 78.6 fib could be a good downside to the weekly pivot point. So it's kind of the same as the Aussie, but then the flip side of things, and it could be a reversal trade. If it gets down far, makes a correction, and like this. For those adventurous reversal traders, you're already in it. For those that are not that adventurous, justly so, because those reversals are dangerous, by the way, but I would then rather wait for more confirmation and a hook back than trading it right now. Now it's in the middle. It's not interesting for upside because it broke support and is looking has bearish sentiment at the moment. It's not interesting for downside because it's halfway to the target already. So needs not a good spot right now. Your pound moving up, but that break already happened, so I'm afraid it has to wait. This was the breakout candle right here. That ship has sailed. Let's take a look at the pound yen and euro yen. In my article with the website that Nana and I run together is Elite Currency. We were looking at the 38.2 fib on the pound yen today as a potential bouncing spot for a move up to 155. So it's moving there. It broke below the 23.6 fib. So I think there's that potential for price to get to the 38.2 fib. More importantly, I think though, is once it gets there, bullish reaction at the 38.2 fib could confirm the upside. This is looking like a correction so far. So when this correction ends, upside I think should be expected. 38.2 fib, very important for that analysis. Or if it doesn't get that deep, a break of this trend line. Sorry, this trend line. All right. So if this 4-hour candle closes near the low, then I think there is a good chance that there will be a fall here to the S2, and then that should be a bouncing spot. But I would still wait for this 4-hour candle to confirm it. Anyone who took this 4-hour candle as a setup is doing well and can move it probably to break even. But that was also not an easy setup there on the 4-hour chart. Here engulfing twins, But yeah, we did have momentum, a slow upside correction, candlestick pattern. So yeah, that's something that you might have thought about. But that's also a ship that has sailed in a way, behind us. Anyone who took maybe the breakout instead of the candlestick patterns could have thought about maybe some entries here, but not a lot of pips before you see already a bounce to the upside. But maybe some pips to the downside there. At the moment, I don't think it's really something to trade. I would rather wait for this 4-hour candle right now. All right, head and shoulders. Yeah, indeed. And that's something to think about. That has been broken. I mean, it depends where the neck is really. Um, let's typically you would have like this. It's a bit awkward kind of headline or head. It's actually a different slope than usual, like this support trend line. It's showing therefore also kind of like a falling wedge. Although it's a head and shoulders, the thing is that it is. I still think that this momentum is strong and this correction is weak. So it might cause a little bit of downside because of that pattern, but I don't think too much. Because the typical pattern for head and shoulders has strength, weakness, strength, weakness, weakness, this, right? What we miss here, in a way, a little bit, is a clear weakness between these two. This is not a 4-hour weakness, it's an hourly weakness. So this is more looking like a wave 4 at this moment, at least. So that pattern could, in a way, create some downside to the 38, but I think that that's something definitely of a level that we want to be careful of and could certainly be a potential turning spot for more upside. So let's see. Alrighty. Euro yen. I don't have any trade ideas on this one at the moment. What I would not mind is maybe keeping an eye on these trend lines here. The breakout might be something interesting. Nothing much there at this moment from my perspective. Pound dot is breaking the support. And potentially through the S1. So more downside could be maybe expected from the pound dot. Problem is that it's actually making a lower low right now. Let's put on the Wiz tool for this one. Okay, it's below the third level. It's not that bad. So I think it could be okay if the better setup was somewhere in here with these bearish candles. Now it's making for a lower low, but if it makes some kind of bear flag, one more bear flag like this, and then breaks that flag, there's a good space right here between 169.50 and 168.60. All right, so let me take a look at that New Zealand CAD. Ahmed was asking for that. Let's do that. All right, Doji last month. Of course, we have monthly candles to look at. We didn't do that much in this webinar, but the candle high, lows, closes, the candle size, the candle wicks, all of that is good info. Also on the monthly candle, in fact. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. New Zealand CAD is showing some bounce when we look at these weekly candles. Looks like some bullish momentum. In the downtrend though, of course, obviously. Let's put this trend line on. All right, sorry, it doesn't seem to be, my platform seems to be stopping. 1 second. Just 1 second, folks. But anyhow, that trend line that you see now, that of course could mark the resistance. If it breaks above that, we could see a bigger correction to the upside. At this moment, though, definitely momentum is bearish. The trend is bearish. We see a bullish momentum, so there's a bit of a conflict there. And I want to analyze if we can get a bigger upside or a bigger ABC upside. I'll have to leave though in about 5 minutes, so I'm not sure if we're going to manage to cover oil anymore. I'll do my best. Unfortunately, this platform wasn't working for a second, so just give me. I have too many indicators. I'm using too many indicators. We're not using, but I mean I have too many. I need to too many things probably running at the same time. Let's see. New Zealand cat. There we go. All right. We were looking at the daily. Yes. Let's take a quick look at the 4-hour. Ultimately, I think that if it breaks, it's a pretty good break probably to look at from this perspective, because it could continue with the trend easily. And this was probably a good breakout candle from this perspective. Just need to see if it manages to, how it responds to this 4-hour trend line. So this 4-hour candle could be a good Mariposa candle too, in a way. If it closes like that, what could happen is even if it just falls down to the 61 or the 78.6 fib, there's still a good breakout potential here. So that's, sorry for that. I will have to probably leave it there. Sorry for that short answer, but I really need to close it in 5 minutes. So let me take a look at gold. Alrighty. Let's take a look at that daily chart. Oh, this is the weekly chart. Let's see. I think that this is probably a wave 1, indeed, and this is probably wave 2, but I don't think the wave 2 is finished yet. I think at this moment, this is more looking like an A, B, C within wave 2. I thought that this could be a wave 2, and this is a wave 3, but because of this kind of ABC motion, I'm leaning towards that this is a B and this is an A, and we're going down for a C, and that 2 is still open. So that's my weekly view, and then let's take a look at Angel's daily view. Let's see. Oh, screen is frozen? Sorry about that. So you missed my New Zealand cat as well. Okay, I'll try to redo that very quickly though. So I have to really be ultra fast now at this moment. Sorry, folks. This is wave 1, 2, I think, and this is probably an A, B, C. All right. I thought that this could be 2 and this would be 3, but the A, B, C here is making me think that lean towards a B here rather than a 3. From a daily perspective, this is not a wave 4 because it's too deep and too steep, and it has gone already back into the territory of wave 1. So this is not a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. That wouldn't work out. It does look more like an ABC. So I think that this is probably looking going to be more bearish to finish the wave C. All right, so I have to keep it there. Sorry, Angel, for that short one as time flew and I'm running out of time. For someone asked me about Eurodollar. What I'm looking for basically is a daily candle to show a bearish close below S1. Or at S1, I think could see continuation down to 115 or at least 116. A bullish candle like this actually could indicate a reversal back up. And if it's indecision, then I'm on the sidelines for the moment. It's very quick. And regarding oil, there we go. Sorry, I have the a different template. I'm in a different profile. That's why I have to change the template all the time. Regarding oil, well, basically, I think that this is a wave 4 structure, what we're in right now. All right, this is a wave 3. This is a wave 4, but that's a very long time frames. And within wave 4, it looks pretty choppy, as you can see. So I would need to wait for breakouts of these trend lines to confirm that wave 4 is over at this moment, something like that. In fact, at this point, it's breaking to the upside, right? So let's see how far this breakout can last, but I think that the resistance is pretty close by. To me, it looks like more like an ABC up to resistance. So I think that, in fact, from this perspective, it looks like a breakout here. So it looks more bearish and looks like price could test these support levels from this. So I think there is a good chance of continuation if it goes below S1 to S2, then to S3, then maybe even further next week or the week after. And other option, of course, would be if it shows some kind of correction like this and then breaks that correction, it could be downside too. If it manages to bounce and break above the S1, I would say, sorry, this pivot point, some bullish price action I would need to see before I would be bullish again. All right. When I draw the trend lines, I use both wicks and the candles, basically. So it depends. All right, so I have to keep it at that. I need to push off, but we'll be back tomorrow, of course. So hope to see you then, and wish you all great trading. Check out admirmarkets.com for a lot of info regarding analytics, education, but also how to trade, what to trade, where to trade, etc. And catch you all very soon. Cheers.